As you see, they've got a neck on the floor. He's got his hand on her neck.
He's straight out of Wales with the wind in his sails. He's tipping the scales, Silurian trails, revealing their names while he's lifting their veils. Public as sales, no one exhales. Won't read in the mail, it's not printed in braille. No bonus for sales, the light will prevail. He's telling the tale while he's hot on the trail. Whole nother scale, he's hammering the nail. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
Don't even pick on me. Are you watching this? The press aren't allowed to film.
Justice is served, collar climate submerged. Don't be absurd, your vision is blurred. He's seen it occur, so right there on the curb. His iPhone record, he's filming the herd. BLM thugs act like palms high on drugs. They wrecking the place, they're smashing the face. He's in with the thick, in with hammers and sticks. Exposing the truth, he's showing the proof. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
You just don't want to see it there. You just don't want to see the violence. You don't want to see the violence on some of those people. 3 people on a woman.
Support for the vets, pray unless we forget the pain he besets and the truth he projects. He's a victim of threats, but he never regrets. Live stream the upsets, no printing gazettes. He's taken the test, got the pedo's address. No south, east or west, he streams the protest. No news is suppressed, the whole truth is expressed. Twin standards he tests, he's facing arrest. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right. Taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
There's 4, 5 on one. There's 2 on a girl. They pinned her to the floor. This one's getting a bully boy tactics, that's from the TSG probably. Sergeant, yeah.
Evening, folks. Nice to see you for a nice Wednesday night. The live tonight is going to be quite a few people on the live tonight, folks. And could you all please start sharing? I've got a problem with my sharing restrictions again. I have opened up my other account, the Philip Watkins one as well. You can watch this on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch it on YouTube, I can see all your comments. If you could share it from the page, Real News, Live News, I'll be able to see all your comments as well. It's going to be an interesting weekend this weekend, it looks like, folks. Evening, Tommy. Evening, Nancy. Evening, Kim. Nice to see you all on again. Sorry I haven't been around for the last couple of weeks. Well, the last month, to be honest with you. Just getting over my illness. So that's all I'm going to say at the moment, folks. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring on the 2 twins first of all. This is before I do, I'll explain. Saturday we've got a demonstration in Cardiff. It's in the 7th, and it's for child abuse. All Scotland, England, Ireland and Wales are all coming together, folks. And plus we've got PCP Wales coming as well. So it's looking good, It's looking, a lot of people are going to turn up for this, especially when it concerns our sex education for our schools. And I'll bring that on in a bit as well. I'm going to bring the 2 twins on now. Ian, Joseph and Bobby, how are you, mate?
Good evening, Phil.
Are you looking forward to Saturday?
Definitely.
Yep, definitely. It'll be a good. Hopefully, it'll be a good turnout.
Yeah, hopefully it will be. I think it will be because PCP Wales obviously got a following in Wales at the moment. Well, a massive following anyway. But also, obviously, with all the media attention that PCP Wales have been having the last week, I'm sure the numbers are going to rise because people are going to start waking up, I think. I'm going to bring the 2 girls on as well, I think.
Yeah.
Let's get them on. Evening. Evening, both.
Hi.
So
Hi, Dave.
we got Samantha on the left and we got Joan on the right. I don't know what's happened to your names, folks. No idea. I can't see them. So are you two girls coming to Cardiff on Saturday as well?
Yeah, we'll be there.
And
Coming from the north to the south. I'm back in the same day.
back in the same day. You did that last time, didn't you?
Yeah, we've done it quite a few times. It's nicer to stay, but family situations this time it's not possible, so we're going to do it in a day.
Yeah. And the pair of you two will be supporting PCP Wales, I take it, yeah?
Definitely. I think the girls all do a brilliant job. And I'm proud to stand with them for what they fight for.
Yeah, well, we can get on to that subject first, then we can get on to the PCP Wales and what's happened this week. Would either you two girls like to explain what's happened this week as far as the PCP Wales? Because it's gone mental, hasn't it?
It's been like a whirlwind. It really, really has been like a whirlwind. Since the press release in the Daily Mail on Sunday, everything to do with PCP, you know, the website, the Facebook page, everything has just gone mental. And as our pocket rocket Kim would say, everything's her phone is hotter than Vindaloo. Everything is at the moment. It's just gone bonkers. My Facebook's actually linked to PCPs, and just all through my news feed now, it's everything. Public Chapter Section Wales, people liking things, people joining the group. We've really turned the corner, and yeah, you know, all the hard work that everybody's done over the past 2 years is paying off now, because people are actually seeing it for what it is. Kim then got an offer to go and speak on the Jeremy Vine show, which she'd done, and she spoke so well, and she was so informative, and she answered everybody's questions and gave everybody the facts, which nobody can deny, because they can go away and find them themselves. So it's just about getting the truth out there, and you know, about protecting, safeguarding as many children as we can, you know, and we just want to change the whole education. You know, Kim's got been writing safeguarding policies, and you know, how to teach teachers how to teach children a safe, you know, sort of sex education, which actually safeguards them. So yeah, it's just been like, I was talking to Kim last night, and I was saying I just feel like really floaty, like we've turned this massive corner, and it's like somebody stepped off my shoulders. It's like people are actually starting to realise now, whereas trying to speak to people the last 2 years, I'm sure, Joan, I'm sure you'll totally agree with me, it's been like people just haven't believed it, but now we're actually nearly at that point, because it's actually coming into Wales in September 2022, which is basically after the summer holidays. You know, kids as young as, you know, 5 years old are going to be taught things that they should never be taught. But when I spoke to people before, people were just like, nah. But now it's actually hit mainstream. People are actually really talking about it. And my mum actually sent me a message today in work to tell me that they were discussing it on Loose Women today. Yeah, so it was like, yay. So I don't watch telly, but I had to watch that when I come home, just to see what their reactions were. And they all totally agreed that sex ed should not be taught by that age, and they were all stunned that the parental opt-out has been taken away. And they feel, the teachers don't know our children better than we know our children.
Yeah,
and PCP Wales, PCP Wales, we're just trying to get a better and safer education for, the children, our future.
Yeah, I saw the Jeremy Vine show. I did watch a bit of it. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to play a bit of the Jeremy Vine show, and let you see what was said. It's the last bit of it. No voice. Hang on. Can you hear any of the voice?
No.
No.
All right, I'll take that off. No idea what's wrong with the voice, but basically there was a guy from Patalba or Neath, and he jumped onto the show and he said there was no mention of sex regarding children, which was being taught in the schools, which is totally untrue. So basically the guy obviously didn't do his research, and sex is getting mentioned in schools because it's from the ages of 3 to 4. Masturbation is going to be brought up into the subject in Wales from September. Now, it's already in England and Scotland and Ireland. So I think some of these people who come onto these TV shows and make comments without doing any research at all, they shouldn't really be allowed on the show, and it should be retracted, because sex is getting mentioned within schools. Am I right, Joan? Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. But
well, can you hear me? I could hear sort of feedback or something. Yeah, I think what people have done is actually some of the people who have commented. They've looked at the RSC guidelines for schools. Well, I don't think masturbation is mentioned, as far as I can remember. Am I right, Sam? Can you hear me, Sam?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. But you see, the thing is, I've got it here in front of me, one of the pages from the sexual education matrix from the WHO, right, where it is mentioned. And what people don't realise is it's global education. It's coming in to virtually the whole world via the UN Agenda 2030. And it doesn't really matter what your local authority says or what your particular country, it doesn't matter how they dress it up. There is, behind it, there is this idea that all children are sexual from birth, which comes from the WHO, and which in turn comes from Alfred Kinsey, whose science they're using via CECUS. CECUS was a branch of the Kinsey Institute. So I don't think anyone is going to escape this concept. It doesn't matter which part of the UK they're in, or even which part of the world they're in. That concept is there behind this sexuality. It's called sexuality education, by the way. And if you look up the word sexuality, it's a little bit different to sex as well. My concept of sexuality is not biological sex, but an attitude towards it involving participation, how you project yourself, how, you know, it's got a whole different concept behind it than sex. This isn't to do with biological sex. And it states it in the WHO, and actually the idea of sexuality is there in the Welsh RSC guidelines.
Yeah.
So, you know, for example, can I just say this, that in the WHO sexual education matrix, you've got from 0 to 4, this starts at 0 to 4, because the WHO claims that everyone is sexual from birth. So if you look at the matrix, you've got the human body, human development, fertility and reproduction, because children now have reproductive and sexual rights according to the UN. And then you've got sexuality for 0 to 4-year-olds. And it says in black and white, unless they've changed it in recent times, enjoyment, the information that's being imparted on behalf of the teacher, enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's own body, early childhood masturbation. It's there in black and white.
So what I've said, Joan, is correct then. If people research into it, they will find out that they are going to start teaching children from a really young age, from kindergarten, about masturbation. But the sex education does get a hell of a lot worse. What are your thoughts on it, Joe and Bobby?
Well, fellas, you know, we changed 127 laws to protect children more. So why are they being undone? You know what I mean? I think it's absolutely ridiculous, because this has got, how can you have a teacher to explain this kind of things to children? You're then going to have doors wide open for child abuse again, because of the children going to start asking the teachers if they're masturbating correctly and stuff like this. I don't know. It's child protection issues written all over it, if that's what they're going to try and do. And it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And you've got to ask yourself, what are these people playing at? Because it's always been governments and this, that, and the other that have tried to cover up abuse for decades, and now they seem to be making it. Is this going to be acceptable?
Well, I think it's an agenda which it's been long ongoing, especially when it comes to deciding the agenda from the ages of 5, and that is another fact which is they're going to be bringing into schools. It's already in Scotland, Ireland, and England, and it will be coming to Wales. And if you've got children or grandchildren, you should be worried at this precise moment what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, everyone's asking who is going to teach this, but what's happened in some places, some states in America apparently, is that where teachers have refused because they feel it's downright immoral or they feel uncomfortable with it, apparently outside agencies have come in some places as well. So it looks like they want to get it in by hook or by crook, you know?
Yeah. I'm sure I've seen somewhere on where they bought transvestites are going into schools in America.
And here.
Yeah, they get story time.
Yeah, so, you know, we're going to have another big generation of confused children that's not going to know what's what. You know, and I don't care what anybody says or what anybody thinks. This is disgusting, and it needs stopped, and it tracks. You know,
we all grew up our own way, and in the end, we decided what we wanted to be, whether we wanted to be gay or whether a woman wants to be a lesbian. That's a personal choice that's down to the individual. Yeah, and I believe whenever you grow up, in a way, well, you look at what sexuality now is. It's more relaxed, if you know what I mean. Where years ago, if you were whatever agenda, you had to hide it, but now you don't. But it seems to be that everybody's getting hit even more now. That you've got to be this or you've got to be that. And for us, for people like us who've been raped and abused, we just see that as an easier way for the governments and the system to cover up child abuse. Because we turned around years ago and we brought our children up saying that if anybody ever touched you inappropriately in any way, shape or form, come and tell your daddy or your mummy, right, or your aunt or your uncle, yeah? Well, you could trust people and have that round your children. But now it's all been left wide open. And to me, I as a campaigner, I feel disgusted in the system. And whenever we exposed the 160 MPs on a sex register, from anything from touching your secretary up to paedophilia, it always gets hidden. And that they haven't. Me and Bobby were raped and abused in 1977. The home that we were in, Kirkcudbright, was investigated. The first investigation was in 1955. Me and Bobby weren't born until 1964, where that home had had massive failings, but they put vulnerable children in that home knowing that they were going to get raped and abused. And that's what the system did. Lord Hart found the state of Northern Ireland guilty of systemic abuse against children. Yeah, 22 institutions were investigated. And out of the 22 institutions that were investigated, 22 failed.
21, Joe.
Bar one, sorry. Bar one.
Can I just ask, when King Cora first came into the public eye? I remember it well.
Yeah.
King Cora was the only home throughout the investigation that the findings were totally opposite compared to because there was politicians involved, there was high-ranking police officers involved, and it's just awful strange that very, very well-respectable people supposedly were using that home and abusing children in it, and it was the only home that wasn't found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And he dragged on, and it would keep coming back in the news every so many years, and nothing was ever resolved there, was it?
No. Well, me and Bobby, we're going to be doing a documentary on what it's like to go through a government-run inquiry. We've got Phil, and we've got another good friend of ours who's going to film us. We're going to basically expose it all. The corruption in it. We've got the paperwork, we've got our transcripts, we've got everything. And we're just going to expose it for what it is. The review board basically stitched everybody up. People were being disbelieved. It's not nice to sit in court, especially whenever you're the one, the victim is the one that's on trial. We had two brothers in the court constantly writing out reports on children that they didn't even know or meet, and them reports were listened to. The whole thing, whenever evidence should have been brought in, it wasn't. It took them over 45 minutes to get me into the court because I refused to go into court because they said that me and Bobby were in Kirkcudbright first. And we were going, no, we weren't. We were in St. Patrick's first. They couldn't even get that right. So we knew that whenever we waived our anonymity, we done the right thing. A lot of people didn't do what we did. But we knew that this could be a cover-up. And even though we waived our anonymity, we were still under a gagging order, stating that if we mentioned any name of our abusers, we got a £25,000 fine each, or 2.5 years in prison. So our rapists and abusers, they got more protection through our court case than we did, than any victim did.
And like I said, it's these are. I'm going to put the whole transcripts out from the courts, from the investigation, I'm going to show everybody what it's like to go through a government-run inquiry. That you've got £100 million inquiry going on right now here in England, and I dread to think what the victims are going through. If Northern Ireland inquiry was anything to go by, and we really do want to expose it for high corrupt and everything. I had medical records that weren't brought in on my case the day I needed them, but they were brought in 10 days later on another case. Any court in this land that would be a miscarriage of justice. But the solicitor that I had representing me stood there and didn't say a word when she knew right well that them papers were actually there. So, you know, these are things that we're going to expose and put out. I even asked them in the courtroom, where's the medical evidence? Where's the this, that, and the other? And they said that there was none. That's what they actually said. And then 10 days later, on another case, my paperwork was there. The court to the court.
So the pair of you are going to be speaking on Saturday, aren't you, Joseph and Bobby?
Yeah, definitely.
One of the other speakers will be Kim. I think she's just an awesome woman, and what she's actually done. She is the head of the organisation, and these two girls obviously do a lot of work as well, Joan and Sam, in the background. And Joan, she is one hell of a writer. She knows her English, and she does put a lot of things together, don't you, in the background, Joan?
Yeah.
I try my best, put it that way. Still get things wrong.
Well, you do it better than most. That's for all I'm going to say at the moment.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome,
I've seen some of their conscripts and stuff, and they are brilliant, brilliantly written. We'll get on to Kim now. Basically, she's been on Jeremy Vine's show, and it was mentioned on Loose Women. I personally think she has to keep the fire in. She has to keep this going now, 100%. Because she's got a lot of people in Wales, England, Scotland and Ireland are all following this PCP Wales now, because PCP Wales are going to be doing something not done in many countries, and that is to take our Welsh government to court and overturn this new RSE in schools. Where do you think we're going to go from there then, Sam?
Well, from here, I think, you know, we need to basically, to take the Welsh Government to court, we need to raise £100,000. We have been doing a lot of fundraising ourselves, but we're not nearly anywhere close to that amount. People can do their own fundraisers and donate money to us. You know, they don't have to contact us direct if they want to do something to help. If anybody wants to give a donation to help, I mean, there's, you know, all we need is 100,000 people to donate £1, and we get to go to court. We get to put our questions out there and get the answers, and, you know, make a movement behind us as well. That's, you know, even if we don't get the answer we want in court, we've got a movement of people behind us that are not going to stop until this is stopped, basically. You know, and all the countries are linking now, you know, everybody, all the people that are fighting against, you know, any sort of, you know, abuse or, you know, anything wrong to do with kids. We're all coming together as one now, and united, we are just so much stronger. And I just think it's going to be like a steam train now. I felt like we've been walking up a really steep hill for a long, long time. But now it's just going like a steam train. It's non-stop. But it's really good to see it turn that corner now, and, you know, we can get full steam ahead now. You know, we need everybody else to catch up now, so we're going to have to start sharing the story from the beginning, and how, you know, we came across all the documents and stuff again. You know, because people have got a lot to learn. They've got a lot of catching up to do, whereas, you know, we've been looking into it, you know, the majority of the girls, and, you know, it's for the best part of 2 years now. So, yeah, it's full steam ahead now, full steam ahead, you know, but it's so positive at the moment after, you know, we've really struggled at times when we haven't had the numbers, and we've been trying to raise awareness, and people are throwing the leaflets back at you, and, you know, but now people want the information, so now we're stepping up even more, and we've got so many foot soldiers and digital soldiers out there that are spreading the word as well. And anybody that wants to help, just get in contact. We've got a lot of little teams everywhere that are, pulling things together, like coffee mornings. But anything anybody can help with is, you're helping the kids at the end of the day, and this is what we're all fighting for. We're all coming together for the kids.
Couldn't we ask that? See, the DFLA lads, they've always been brilliant at raising money for good causes and stuff like that. And they've supported me and Joe loads of times. So I wonder would they? I mean, they've passed buckets around football matches for the raise funds for people and this, that, and the other. So it might be an idea to have a chat with some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know a few in Birmingham, don't you?
Yeah.
The FLA lads, and we do know one or two around the country as well.
Mm.
So, but the football lads, they do look for good causes every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they support them. Sometimes it's veterans, sometimes it's for the children.
Yeah.
It's probably another way of looking forward to raising funds. I have put the fundraiser on the front screen as well. My admin has.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you could join their could put money into the fundraiser. It doesn't matter if it's £1, like the girls have said. Like at the end of the day, if every child in this country was £1 was put in, we'd have more than enough. More than enough. We got about 4 million children in this country, and I'm sure if you can put £1 in for each child, we'd have more than enough to demolish the Welsh Assembly, I think, in court.
Joe's got a new bike now, so I suppose we could do a bike ride or something like that.
That would be fun.
Well,
I need to lose some of this.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna put the PCP Wales link up for their Child Protection Wales org. That's a website, isn't it? Yeah, your website. So, folks, if you follow that, you can find the fundraising link in there as well. Sam, you were on about the leaflets and that. I tell you what, when we were in Aberavon for the skate-a-thon, not one person turned around and said they didn't want the leaflets. I don't know if it was because of the weather and they were on the skates, but they seem to want to take those leaflets. They seem to be very interested in the subject matter which was in the leaflets regarding our children.
So that's good to hear.
Well,
yeah.
Can I just say, Phil, I don't know if we're a little bit more unaware up here in North Wales, because I think PCP have had a presence for much longer in the south. But I was giving out leaflets on Bangor High Street the other day, and I was targeting people with young children, and the majority didn't want to know.
That's sad.
They really didn't. Someone actually called me a nonce when I tried to explain what was going on,
Obviously, they're unintelligent people, because if you're giving out a leaflet explaining about the sex education which is coming into the Welsh schools, how can you be a nonce by supplying information?
I think it's called shooting the messenger. I don't think people want to believe this is happening.
No, that is sad. That's very sad. Parents should be caring about their children and wanting to know what they're being taught and educated in schools. And the thing is, this sex education is coming into all lessons. Am I right about that? It's coming into all lessons. It's not just sex education. It's coming to it's coming into everything.
So it could be a maths, English, and whatever other lessons there are.
And along with pushing LGBTQ, that is going to be something else which is going to be coming in regarding the genders of children, where they're allowed to choose their gender at the ages of 5.
It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. A child can't choose his bedtime at 5, you know, let alone, you know,
Oh,
they
they will
can't, though, can they?
Yeah,
They
but they
can't
will
maybe
be
make mind
shortly.
up what milkshake they want, what biscuit they want. How can they choose a gender at
Yeah.
that age?
They should,
You know, all these different genders they're teaching now. There's over 200 genders. When is it going to stop? You know, these kids are confused and more confused, and
yeah.
Do
you know, it's like, God, come on.
Can I
know,
say, Sam? Sorry, Sam, about the genders. I was talking to somebody the other day when I was giving out leaflets. My daughter is doing A-level sociology, and apparently she's being taught that there are 250 genders.
Can we just get this? Can we get this straight?
Every
There's
few
only
months.
2 genders. There are only 2 genders when you're born. It's full stop. You can be gay, lesbian, bi, and whatever, but you don't decide that. Children do not even think about sex until they're about 10, 11, or even start to even think about that. So choosing genders at the age of 5, I'm saying that is pushing towards paedophilia, because it's paedophilia and trying to change the sex of a child, which should not be changed. They shouldn't have the option at that age. They don't know.
Yeah, what gets me as well, Phil, is that, you know, if they decide at 5 years old when they go to school that they want to be a little boy, they can wear the little boy's clothes. The teachers and the pupils will call them a little boy's name, but they won't. They've got no obligation to tell the parent of that.
Yeah.
Whereas our parental rights are below, you know, the children's rights. You know, and at the end of the day, as I say, nobody knows our kids better than we do. Nobody knows when they're ready for that conversation better than we do. You know, my daughter's, you know, when I spoke to her was different to when my friend spoke to her child, was different to when my mum spoke to me about it. You know, we know when our kids are ready for that chat. To say they get it at this stage, that age, and that's how it's going to be, and that there's no opt-out. We're just going down a really slippery, dangerous road, and it's just frightening.
People are not aware of, because of what's going on, especially with the younger children. Yeah, the mental health damage that's going to cause children is unreal, and I think that this is what the government want. Like I said, we all grew up differently. And when it was time for us to gather that information or to find out little bits, we did. But to put that under young children, that's going to cause them torment in their own brains. Children should be children. Do you know what I mean? And let them grow up in their own way and let them find their own way. They don't need it rammed down them at 5 and 3 years of age, because that will cause mental health issues.
It's what I keep saying there, Joe. If it wasn't for us male and females, there wouldn't be 250 different genders.
I know.
Exactly.
I don't think it's 250 genders. What I think is 250 mental health problems.
Yeah.
We've got to be honest about this, because kids up till about 9, 10, all they're interested in is playing toys. They're not interested in sex, not interested in gender. They're either male or female, and that's it. Full stop. All this LGBT mockery. That's what they're doing in our schools. They're trying to turn our kids. So can you imagine? They're having beta blockers at the ages of 8 in America, and they bring that into this country. Beta blockers for like a boy to turn into a girl, and then when he suddenly realizes he really wants to be a boy, it's going to confuse them so much. Yeah. They are going to have mental health issues. So you're right there. Definitely right.
Well, what happens, Phil, is when they go on these puberty blockers, apparently 90% will carry on to have trans sex hormones. But if they don't go on the puberty blockers, the people who are confused, over 80%, I forget the exact figures, but it's really high, will just resolve the problem on their own. So the fact that they get on puberty blockers in the first place is almost a fast track to gender, reassignment when they're older.
I think they're trying to turn our kids into the opposite of what they are and depopulate the world, basically. It's their way of stopping pregnancies and stuff like that, which I totally disagree with. You're either a boy or girl at birth. You can't turn gay, lesbian, or bisexual or whatever. That's up to you when you get to a certain age. But trying to push it on to 5-year-olds, now that's starting to get a little bit sickening, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. I don't care about LGBT. I don't give a monkeys about them, because they are pushing. Because they're gonna put the P in with their LGBTQ, and that's going to be paedophilia. That's paedophilia.
And they might call it M for minor attracted person.
Yeah, which is sickening, and our governments are allowing this to happen, and that's what makes it even worse. Like.
But you would think, well, you would think that it's the LGBT community. You've got gay, bisexual, that we totally get that. But you would think that the LGBT community would be outraged themselves if what's going on, because you've now got LGBT community. They're getting targeted now. Because they've been beat up because of this, because people are listening to some of the stuff they're coming out with. But you would think that the LGBT community would be on the streets with us, condemning this going on in schools and children being taught this, that, and the other.
It's just bang out of order. When I grew up as a kid, we didn't know anybody that was gay in school. And we were talking like 1,000 children in the comprehensive. While you were growing up, you didn't realise anybody was gay. You could tell 1 or 2 people, but some schools now, they've got 60 people are non-binary. They're not. This is how they're pushing it, and it's pretty sickening. If you've got a child or a grandchild growing up and going to school, and they're going to be taught this, and you're not allowed to take them out to school, which you should have a right of taking your child out of school, because at the end of the day, they're your children. They're not the government's children, as they think they are. They are our children. They are our grandchildren. And we don't want our kids to be taught stuff like this in schools.
Yeah. Phil, were you on about that red dress again?
Yeah, the one you went into in Bristol.
Yeah. I nearly got arrested for that.
I could tell you the story. We were in Bristol. We were at a protest. It was, and Joseph noticed a couple walking down the road. There was a guy with a beard, and he was dressed in a red dress, and he was with his wife. He reckons he was a lesbian, and they had children as well, and that's what makes him mad. And Joseph nearly flipped.
They said that their children. We were sat outside the pub after we done a demo outside the BBC as well, and we were sat outside the pub just enjoying a pint, and his wife came up to me and went, "You really upset my husband." And I turned around and says, "Did you hear what we were talking about outside the BBC?" "Yes, I did, but we're non-binary." I says, "Well, who's the chick with the..." "Yeah, and we're non-binary." "Yeah, and our children are non-binary." And then she said her children, I think they were 5 and 6 or so, or 5 and 7. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, you've made your own mind up for your children already to say that they're non-binary. Yeah, but yet they were married, they were non-binary, but if they're non-binary, you still have children. So it's the concept in it, in what they're saying, doesn't make sense.
if they were non-binary, why was he dressed up in a dress and why was she dressed as a bloke?
Exactly.
It just mucks around with your brain and mucks around with, I'd call that child abuse, actually.
I do.
Pushing an ideology onto your children because you believe in something and you shouldn't be doing that. So what are your thoughts, Sam? You've been quiet.
Me?
Yeah.
I've been listening for a change. Yeah, no.
Were you talking? How many people do you know in school, Sam, that were actually transsexual? I never knew one.
None.
Not one.
I never knew none when I was in school. One of my friends came out when she was about 22, but it took her until then to come out because it was sort of quite shamed, you know, up until I was about that age. You know, people didn't like to admit if they were gay or they were different because, well, it was just because of the sort of the way society looked at it at that time. But you know, times have changed. You know, we've sort of, we as a society now accept, you know, that there are gay people and that there are lesbian people. You know, and my daughter came out to me as lesbian when she was 15. You know, I've got absolutely no issues, you know, with people's sexuality. What I've got an issue with is confusing little children at such a young age where they're so impressionable. You know, you start telling 5-year-olds about sex and masturbation, and 5-year-olds want to be like adults. So what are they going to do? They're going to go home and do what they think adults do, and they just don't need to know it. You know, it's just so wrong on so accounts. And I do believe in teaching them, you know, a healthy and safe sex education. But from what I can see, and I've looked at the content that's being taught in Scotland, and it's been in Scotland for 4 years, and it's absolutely shocking, and people are complaining about it so much. You know, it's in schools in England as well already. And you know, we just, you know, need to up the game and you know, call it out for what it is and inform people of it's not this fluffy Welsh sex education, that it's actual a global sex education that's already in 52 countries.
Well, what happened to life skills?
What happened to what? Life skills? Yeah, exactly.
What happened to life skills? It's life skills was to when you were a bit older to learn you how to manage your money, to live. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't exist no more.
Well, we used to grow
They should
plants.
teach them how to grow their own food.
Yeah. We actually used to do that in school. We used to grow plants, and we also used to have some animals as well. We used to look after and stuff. So that's more.
They've taken all that away.
Yeah. And the lathes. They've taken all the lathes out of schools as well.
Yeah.
Well, metalwork. I used to do metalwork.
Woodwork.
Yeah, I used to do metalwork and woodwork.
Try doing it now.
You would have thought that they kept the metalwork class going so they could make the poles for pole dancing.
What, for the trans?
Joke about it, but you know what I mean?
Look, I've got no problem with people who are being trans. I've got no problem with bisexual, lesbian, gay, but all these other stupid mental health issues, I do have a problem with. But I don't believe no sexual education should be in schools until at least 11, 12. Because that's what I was taught, biology in school. I know times have changed, but no, it should be up to the parents. And we just had the basic biology because you learned it off your parents and you learned it off other children as well. I just find it absolutely sickening. It should be, sex education should be given at a relevant time as they're growing up, not at stupid times when they're actually kids.
Yeah, but kids are being targeted. Why is it always the children that are getting targeted now? Yeah. We were targeted as children whenever we were being raped and abused. Yeah. And that was over decades. But now children are being deliberately targeted. For what reason? Yeah. And the public don't know. Because everybody's walking around like that. Say no evil here, no evil, speak no evil. Yeah. And that's the bit that gets me. When it comes to our children, yeah, there should be millions on the streets, but there never is. We do our demos and travel all over the country, England, Scotland and Wales, yeah? And sometimes you do feel like you're banging your head off a brick wall. And it's soul destroying at times. But we know not to give up because we want to be the children's voice. And there's a lot of good speakers out there that are going to be in Cardiff on Saturday. Yeah. And like I say, we fully 100% stand side by side with the PCP girls, 100%. Yeah. And we always will, because we're talking about, from our point of view, our side of the story is our rape and abuse. Yeah. And what you girls are covering and what yous are doing, yous are putting that side of it out. Yeah, which is a good thing. Like you said, it's already happened in England and Scotland. Yeah. And hopefully we can make that change in Wales. You know what I mean? Because we'd like to get that change in Wales. Because that would mean such a big thing for us all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We just all need to come together, and Saturday is, Sandy and them are coming from Scotland. It's it's Sandy's, and the Quarry Warriors demo, which we all love Sandy. We've all got to know each other, and we just all need to pull together. I'm sure the guys that have spoken before from Birmingham are coming as well. There's going to be quite a few good, really good speakers there, and really informative people there. That people that don't know much about, if they want to come, we'll be there. We'll be willing to have a chat with them. We'll be willing to share leaflets and give out information on where they can access the documents that prove everything. What we're saying is not misinformation like the government is saying. And as I say, we're going to be doing a bit of a raffle as well to try and raise a bit of funds on the day, selling off some PCP merchandise if anybody wants to buy any. And if anybody just wants to come for a general chat, there's going to be quite a few of us PCP girls milling around and supporting Sandy and all the speakers. And I think it'll be a really, really good day, and everybody needs to get their bums out now and come and see us and speak to us and learn and get informed and get on board and find their little ways of helping us, because together we're a force to be reckoned with. We really are.
Me and Joe's big thing was always about bringing people together. It was about uniting different groups and supporting each other in different causes. Forced adoption, all sorts. And, it's like Joe said earlier, it is frustrating when you think, when it comes to protection of children, there should be millions of us on the streets. And this isn't a knock here against gay and lesbian or whatever, because that's not the issue here. The issue is what they're trying to do to children now, which is wrong on all counts.
I would love to ask Jade a question. Do you think, Jade, right, if you could send a message in, if you're still watching, do you think 5-year-olds should be able to choose their gender? Do you think that's right? And do you think they should have the hormone blockers from 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds if you could answer that, that would be amazing.
But even Phil, even looking at Jade's comment, yeah, born a man and went and she had the operation, but at the end of the day, I can imagine in her own mind what she had to go, what he had to go through as a male to take that step. It wasn't an easy one, I bet you, but we're not going on about that, her or him. Yeah, we're going on about that children shouldn't have that forced on them.
Yeah.
At the age that they're at.
Yeah, especially
I've got gay friends, I've got lesbian friends, and I love them dearly. You know what I mean? It's not about. It's just about where did nearly the 200 agendas come from?
I think they just make believe. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
And I'll stand by it again. I don't believe 5-year-olds know what they're doing. They should be playing with toys and not interested in sex. To be honest with you,
Exactly.
and,
Yes.
what sexuality you are, I think is just utter bollocks. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
You can decide that at a later age and know you're doing it right because you can't change it once you've done it. Simple as that. You can't change it. Once you've started it, that's it. You're done.
But when you look at how many children each year, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, yeah, get targeted, yeah, by paedophiles, yeah, they get a slap on the wrist. And they get moved all around the country to protect them. And this is the bit that gets me mad. Why is it always the innocent little children that get targeted?
Yeah, that's right. I'd love to have you on, Jade, so we could have a discussion. Maybe in a week or so, I'll send you a message or something, and then I'll try and get you onto the show. Because at the end of the day, you're right there. Children should not be given hormone treatment until they become an adult, until at least 17, 18, before they can actually decide what they really, really want. Like, because when you make that mistake, that's it. And especially if you've gone from a man to a woman. I'm glad Jade's come on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I am as well.
Because I've got nothing against transsexuals. I've got nothing against gay, lesbian, bi. It doesn't make any difference to me. Your sexual preference is your sexual preference, but not for 5-year-olds. Do you mean? Not for them to. And obviously, parents, all this can be hidden away from a parent when they go into school. They can go to school and they can't opt out. And the parent and the teacher can turn around and say, "Look, you don't have to tell your parent, but you can be called Jessica in school, where your real name is Brian." Do you mean it's pretty sickening? It's trying to lie to your parents, and I don't agree with that. Definitely.
Well, Phil, I think it's a way of actually separating children from parents, putting a wedge between them, and making the state, in the shape of the school in this particular instance, as more important and more powerful than the parent, because you can only affirm a child. If a child has doubts about its sexuality and gender, and it expresses them, you can only affirm them. And bear in mind that the government it's busy trying to get rid of conversion therapy on the grounds that it's outdated and cruel. But I've yet to find a proper explanation of what conversion therapy is.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, conversion therapy in the case of a confused 6 or 7-year-old would be actually trying to get to the root of what's causing that unease in their personality and their problems, what is behind it. Because you can bet your bottom dollar that it's really nothing to do with the gender, and there's something else going on in their life that is making them choose this path, But but that to me would be conversion therapy, and I'm pretty sure that the government will class that as conversion therapy, because conversion therapy can be a DIY kit. You know, it can be an imam in a temple, or it could be a priest in a church, or it could even be a mother and a father. So they're getting rid of that as well. So it's like everything's coming together. And then, Phil, you look at the kind of music and culture that's been around for decades now, that's to the point of obscenity for kids. You know, remember Michael Jackson touching his genitals?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that for the first time, and I thought, well, you sort of get used to it. You sort of go along with it, but you don't like it.
Yeah.
And by now, you've got people like Lil Nas X. You probably haven't heard of him, but he's big. He's as big as hell. And if a kid likes that song, they might look him up on YouTube, and they might find that Lil Nas X is actually having sex with the devil in the video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, that isn't even extreme. Some of them are worse than that. So and look at Disney films as well.
Yeah.
Look at what Disney has managed to incorporate in that business, you know. All sorts, and many of them are very sexual as well. You know, like Lion King, Sex Appeal. It's all subliminal. It's 1 minute it's there, and the next it's gone.
Yeah, well, Disney have been in the papers lately. There's a few of their employees or directors. They've been charged with sexual offences against children.
That's right.
And that is why they lost over, I think it was 300,000 people that cancelled their holidays to Disneyland in Florida.
Yeah.
You know, so,
well, I heard stories about Walt Disney many years ago, because I come from the potteries originally. Yeah. And a lot of the women that used to paint the pots, you know, hand paint, quite a lot of them went over to help out. Well, not to help out, they were employed by Walt Disney. And I don't know what, I'd say you might be going back to the 30s, but there were rumors going around about Walt Disney and his inappropriate behavior when they came back, you know. So his reputation did go before him, but it was underground. You know, everyone thought he was God's gift to children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even whenever you look at the Teletubbies, just as an example, Gaga, look at the names, look at the way they talked. Yeah. And kids were copying that. When you look at Rainbow, look at what Rainbow actually got away with. If you look back at the abstracts on Rainbow, there was a lot of sexual things in Rainbow, but they got away with it. Jim will Fix It, got away with it. Top of the Pops, got away with it. And do you know what? To me, because of the way so much is changing and how quick it's changing, I just see that purely as government control. We're living in controlled states.
Yeah.
Well, we're not, because we campaign against it. But there's too many people out there that I just look at them as, well, sheep, basically. Sorry about that, Phil.
It's all right, mate.
But you know what I mean? But I just class them as sheep. And where their children are concerned, especially in education, they should be outraged at what's going on, but they're not. And like I said, the demos that we're having, and especially down in Cardiff, I hope and pray that it will be an eye-opener for everybody to see that what the PCP girls are saying, to hear the stories from the survivors of child abuse. And like I said, we are a big team. We will stick together and we will get bigger.
Yeah, definitely. There's only one small subject I want to cover now, really, and it's this. A lot of people, I don't want to cover it too much because at the end of the day, it's just giving them publicity, and I don't really want to do that. But I've got to explain to people why people were getting angry. Now, this sex show was promoted for 5-year-olds upwards. But what a lot of people didn't get to see, because they took down all the info on that sex show, family sex show, it is pretty disturbing. I'm gonna put it up now. Right. Now, if you look at that, if you go down towards lap seats, it said adults and baby age 0 to 24 months. They paid an extra £1 to go to this sex show. It wasn't just for 0 to 5-year-olds upwards. It was for babies and children, 2-year-olds, and they were prepared to do nudity on a stage. So that.
And simulated sex acts, wasn't it?
Yeah, fully clothed.
Sex, yeah.
I actually took down every single, as much as I could from the egg site and everything before they took everything down. I've got it. That's for a different show. But I don't really want to give them publicity over this because they're going to be doing this behind doors now. And that's the problem we got. They are going to be doing this behind doors. Okay, we've stopped it far as they were afraid that the demonstration and protests were coming to the theatres, which I personally think is right. I mean, it shouldn't go ahead full stop, because every time that one of those shows are going ahead, it means there's a possibility of a child getting groomed into incest, paedophilia, and this is what I'm worried about. Like, do you mean? I am absolutely gutted that they're taking under. That they're going to hide it from us now, and that is going to be a major problem. We've got to stop it somehow, because this is another LGBTQ plus whatever attacking our children, or coming for our children, as far as abuse and child abuse is concerned. Like, but
so look what they were doing.
24 months, 0 to 24 months, people.
Yeah,
it's sick. Absolutely sick.
It is, and I agree with you, Phil, 100% on that. But look what they were doing in Blackpool whenever there were adults and children going to the swimmers in nude swimming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of that happens around the country. Yeah. That was brought to the public's attention. What was done about it?
Blackpool was stopped. Blackpool was stopped, if you remember.
No, I know Blackpool was stopped, but there's still other places that are still going.
Well, we should be targeting them as well, then.
Exactly.
Or there should be a law or something out there which stops you doing that.
Yeah.
Why should a child see an adult naked?
Exactly. But you can go, if you go out on the street, you can get, if you indecent exposure and get arrested for it. But if you go to your swimming baths because it's allowed, you don't get arrested.
It's sickening. I've been in London. I filmed in London, and they were doing a nude bike ride.
I remember that, yeah.
And I tell you what, somebody did actually, one of the Alabastas who were there protesting at the time, they turned around. Roland, God bless him, he's dead now. He actually, he said to the police officer, if I stripped now, you would arrest me if it was, say, an hour's time. But if I undress now, you can't arrest me. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
He undressed in front of the police officer and really had to go at him. Do you mean? Because at the end of the day, it shouldn't have been happening.
Exactly.
We're going to have that coming to Cardiff. It's coming later on in the year. And basically, you've got tourists in our city centres watching nude bikers going past with nothing on with their children. Now that is sick. Did that child ask to see a naked man or a naked woman riding a bike? That isn't consent, is it?
No. That's turning round. As far as I'm concerned, we could sit and go on about it all night. I know more about grooming. I know more about conditioning than I ever knew in my life, because I had to grow up knowing that I was raped and abused. And what I see now is totally about giving the green flag, to rape and abuse of children. And like I said, our children are supposed to be our future. Protect them and let them lead the way. Yeah. There's no such thing now, because we've had so much took off us that everything that we look at now is opened to paedophilia.
I think everything that they're trying to do basically now is pushing towards lowering the age of consent. And that's a sex education. That will be one of the main goals, will be to lower the age of consent. It's already mentioned, am I right, young adults, is it 10 till 24 if they had sex, Joe? If they have sex, that's kind of acceptable. That's what they're trying to push towards? Am I right?
Is it something like a 10-year age gap?
Yeah, something like that. So it would be 14 to 24, or it would be 10 to 20 years of age.
I'm not sure about the 10 yet, but if it is, I don't know, Kim would be able to tell you that. But all you know is that if it isn't there now, it's going to be. You know, they've shut the door on the parents in Wales.
Yeah.
They've actually shut the door on us. What are they going to do next?
Well,
you know, they're probably going to rip up little by little that nice little RSC guideline that everyone has been showed, and it's going to metamorphose into a monster.
Yeah.
Unless we are very, very careful.
Yeah. The only thing that I can say about what we've all mentioned and talked about tonight, at least we can all turn round in years to come and go, we told you so. You know what I mean? We did try and inform you. We did talk about different things that happened in life. So we did tell you so. You were warned. And like I said, people like us and all new ladies, at least we can say, but we tried, or we'll succeed, one way or the other. And that's all we can do. All we can ever do is just keep fighting, keep our heads above the parapet, and crack on and do what we all do. And I know that I'm not going to give up, not ever. Neither's Bobby, neither be Phil. And I know you girls won't, And that's all we can do. Get it out there to the public in the best possible way that we can, It's like that. Even whenever me and Bobby do, me and Bobby've got our newspaper. I don't know whether you have seen it. It's blew up, so people can go and read it. Me and Bobby do not like going into detail about our abuse, because it was that horrific. And because of having children around at the demos that we do, we don't like to do that. I'd just rather the parents go, read our newspaper, which is on a big bank, without going into detail. That's how me and Bobby deal with what we deal with. And like I said, I just want as many people to be in Cardiff on Saturday as we can possibly get. You know, it's for a brilliant, good cause, and it's for life. It's for children's lives. and it should be massive. There should be thousands there.
Yeah, I am going to end the show now.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank all my guests, all of you. You've been amazing tonight. It's been great. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Cardiff on Saturday. I'm sure we'll be going out for a meal afterwards, I would have thought, like we did last time.
Yeah.
It's a shame about North Waylands can't stay the night because they're not party animals.
Just animals, yeah.
Saying that, Joan likes a good drink, mind. She's all right, she is.
What?
Yeah, you. I remember when we were in Scotland, and you seemed to like your Chardonnay and your wine.
Yeah, is that what it was? I didn't notice.
I only did it one night.
I'm actually drinking coconut water.
Good lad.
That's distilled water, that is, but it's gone through an alkaline filter. So I'm drinking water. I'm getting ready for the weekend. I am.
That's a pint of Carling.
Well, we know you, Joe. We definitely know you, Joe. So thank you all for jumping on. I'm sure I'll see you in the next couple of months regarding taking our Welsh government to court and beating them, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to change the sex education, and thank you to you two for highlighting it, basically, because you know this as much. Well, I don't know if you know as much as Kim and Lucia, but I'm sure you're very close to it. And thank you both for coming on, and especially to you two, to Joseph and Bobby. I'll see you Friday night, I think.
Yep, Friday, and we'll see you all in Cardiff on Saturday.
See you on Saturday.
Thank you for having us, Phil. Thank you very much. See you all weekend.
Lovely to speak to you all. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
Right, folks. So what I'm going to do from now, I'm going to put back up. Let's see if I can catch it now, because I've got to go through all the comments to get to the PCP Wales website. So this is the PCP website, folks. The fundraiser. Now, like I said, even if it's just £1, folks, I mean, these girls are more interested in numbers, and the more numbers are actually supporting PCP Wales and turning up to these demos would be amazing. So even if it's just £1, folks, please donate to them, because they're fighting for your kids at the end of the day. They're fighting for their education, and this is what we should be doing, because they're futures to our country, these children, and we don't really need them to be pushed down the road of, I mean, even thinking about sex at the ages of 3. Diabolical, really. And this is the PCP Wales webpage. So if you can jump on there, you can find donation pages on there. And plus you can find all the documents regarding sex education, folks, which they're trying to push through. It's already in Scotland, it's already in England, it's already in Ireland, folks. And this is what we're getting in Wales coming September. And plus, we're not going to be able to opt out as Welsh parents like they can in England and Scotland and Ireland at the moment. But it's going to change from. So if we can all, let's have a quick look, see if I, right, here you go, folks. So it's going to be in Cardiff, the Senedd. It's down in Cardiff Bay. The postcode is up there. I'm going to leave it on after the show, after I play the last tune. And thank you all for watching. Thank you all, admin, for sharing. And you've been amazing as ever. Absolutely amazing. And like I said, I'm back now, folks. So I'm feeling a lot better. So I will be here next week. It'll be something different next week. Let's get rid of that. So 12 o'clock at the Senedd. Be there and prepared to get your voice across, folks. There are loads of top speakers speaking on that day as well. So I'm going to finish a show with Darren Purcell's rap. Now he's done a lot for PCP Wales. He did my tune at the beginning of the show, and we're going to finish off with this, folks. Good night. Like I said, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Please keep sharing. And I'll see you all Saturday on a live outside the Senedd. I'll probably be live about 11:15, and I'll catch you then, folks. Good night all. God bless.
Okay, picking it up here in Wilmington, North Carolina, right at the Intercoastal. We're in one of these bands.
So that's Mike Seidel in Wilmington, North Carolina. But as he races and fights to win Friday, check out the two guys who seem to walk right by him in the background there with no trouble at all. The video has been shared more than 1 million times on social media. Now it's the
Cruising, losing, looking for some news and losing is amusing. Other people choosing the topics I can view and the subjects I can chew on, the facts that I can spew and the news they put their slew on. Twisty, turny, wriggly, wormy, squealy, squirmy news. Psychopathic journalists deceiving with their views. Tightening like a tourniquet, they're aiming to confuse. Nightly negative narratives narrating you the blues. Blues and twos, new taboos, the pasta's all sold out. The hurricane's incoming and the world is dying out. Asteroids, blasteroids, steroids in their tails. The windiest ever windy gales are blowing in the dales. The sea levels are rising at a super duper rate. 247 365, the caliphate's your fate. Tidal waves are waving like the death rays from the sun. Duck and cover, stand your ground, there's nowhere else to run.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy.
Writing, fighting, to publish stuff exciting. Losing is amusing, other people choosing the posts that I can post and the documents I can read from, the info I can feed from, the facts the checkers get wrong. Sleazy, slimy, geeky, grimy, blackout shoulders tech, concluding with a clickety-click what's wrong and what's correct. Politically encouraged with protection from the law. They're getting pretty ruthless now, they're panicking for sure. Scrubbing out the info like a scrubber in a tub, deleting the derogatory of the members in their club. Documents and studies disappear without a trace. Psychopathic moralists, they're doing it in your face. The info is erasing at a super